Thank you. Welcome back, Patrice. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. For those of you who were not here, can we just keep quiet as we speak? If that would be incredibly appreciated. I know it's just a bit hard to hear sometimes in such a big space, so it's really appreciated. For those who weren't here for the previous session, my name is Hafa. I am a film critic and a programmer, and I am so thrilled to be in Malta, even though I live in Scotland, and this is far too warm for me. But I'm glad that you guys are here beating the heat because it's going to be a great panel. We're going to be talking a little bit more about content creation, about creating for the internet, about the pros and cons, the highs and lows. And we have such a wonderful panel of people who are creating things in such different scales and in such different areas. And I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation. I am going to start by letting our guests introduce themselves very briefly. I am just going to let you guys speak a little bit more about what you specialize in when you're thinking about social media, about how it started, and even if it was natural in case of Patrice, as we were just talking, it's just a little bit about how you use social media today. That would be wonderful. So we can start through order, so it's just natural, so let's start.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Sweet. I am a content creator on every single social media platform, and I make challenge videos.
Hi everyone, I'm It's Shawnee and I create content the same as Jake.
Hi, everybody. I'm Louis Levanti. I'm from the States. I started in entertainment and pop culture content. Then I moved into hosting, red carpet corresponding, press junkets, and now I do kind of everything.
Hi everyone, I'm one half of KK Travels. This is my husband Lewis, and we run KK Travels, which focuses on luxury travel and lifestyle.
Now we have too many microphones getting to the end.
Hi, I'm Josh Harmon. I'm a content creator, musician, percussionist, and also a Foley artist, which means I make sound effects for movies and TV shows. And this is my intern, Garrett.
Hi everyone again. I'm Mr. Can someone turn the AC, please? There we go. No, I'm joking. So no, Patrice Evra, I think I had a speech 10 minutes ago here, and the ex-footballer player. And now I can't say what I'm doing because I don't even know myself. I just do everything.
No, this is wonderful. I think I want to start by having a conversation about longevity of working with social media, with content creation. This is definitely one of the conversations that have been happening right now because things change so fast, and there's always this understanding of content creation as a profession, of having to understand, do you want to open a pension plan? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to buy a house? What are the things that you're thinking about? Do you want to continue doing what you do in the years to come? And yesterday, speaking to Josh, you had a very interesting sports metaphor, and we have a lot of football fans in the room. So I think I'm going to start with you to speak about longevity.
I think longevity is something you definitely need to think about when you're pursuing this path of content creation, which is really still a very nascent industry, and it's a new thing, it's an uncharted path. So it's tough to know what the future will be like, what the landscape will look like 5, 10 years from now. I like to think of myself as an athlete, not in the literal sense, but in the figurative sense, in that, like right now, I am really good at this sport that I'm playing of making the videos and gaining a community online. And I want to just keep playing until I can't anymore, until I have to retire. And just to enjoy it as much as I can and get everything out of it, and whatever comes next, I hope it's as fun.
I really love that you're calling yourself this athlete, thinking of your career right next to Patrice. This is really interesting. And I'm going to go to you, Crystal and Louis, because we were talking about longevity yesterday and about thinking about family expansion, the things that you want to do in the future, diversifying your work as well.
Yes, so I would say it's about, for us as well, particular, where our content is about luxury lifestyle and it's more about the product and service rather than ourselves. For us, it's about making sure we adapt to sort of the pressures and sort of the, so we say, the kind of the pursuits that the followers and sort of the audience are looking for. It's making sure we're always trying to update ourselves to appeal as the further in life we go, we want to make sure our followers and the audience are sort of continuing with us to adapt to their needs.
And I think you just touched upon something that is really interesting, which are the pressures that you're feeling. And I think, obviously, in an industry that changes so fast as technology, there are definitely this understanding that perhaps you need to catch up with things, that you need to be on top of everything. And it was really, really interesting to hear from you, Lewis, in the world of pop culture, about having to be reactive and some of the pressures that come with that. If you can talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like with longevity, especially in the pop culture space, there's so many people talking about celebrities, music, TV, and film, that your longevity really is based on how quick you react or how different you react. Because I've learned that you can be first to report on a story, but if you're just saying the same thing as every other person, you're gonna kind of get lost in that sauce of pop culture. So for me, the way I've adapted and continued to change over time is that you don't always have to be first, but sometimes you have to relate to a certain type of person. So not everybody is gonna see every pop culture story right in the moment. So my goal was to be like kind of among the people who miss things. So I started developing recaps where I was like, okay, every Thursday, here's everything you missed in the past week. If you missed it, like here it all is. If you've seen it, here's a refresher. And I think that's really helped me continue on, because a lot of people will post the same exact thing, and it's not the best. And I also think with pop culture, instead of just being known as like a news outlet, you have to have longevity in doing other things. So I do red carpet corresponding, I do pop culture news, but on top of that, I'm in Malta, so I'm doing travel content, I'm doing food content, I'm doing content with my partner. So there's so much more to the longevity in pop culture specifically that I think you need to take into account.
And Shawnee, we were speaking yesterday about this idea of having to do something that is reactive and having to be on social media and create things fairly often. And you were talking a little bit more about your TikTok and the videos that you create. Do you feel this pressure to have to keep up with things, to have to react to trends?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. As time goes on, you literally just have to change your content no matter what. Like, you look at the trends, if it's different to yours, copy it, but like in your own way, and just adapt your content to it, and it should do well.
And this is interesting because, Patrice, we were just speaking about, because you're in a different position here in terms of you started posting things on social media and it grew so big. And it seems like you have this freedom of doing the things that you want to do, in a sense of if you wake up on a Monday feeling super positive, they're your Monday videos. How important is that freedom to you to not be, once again, dependent on social media or responding to it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm new to it. It's just, I think, 4 or 5 years I am in social media. And I couldn't believe how much freedom you get with the social media. And I was talking about the Monday video because I used to hate Monday when I was a kid. And now I'm spreading all the positive energy, so I have to love every day. And I picked the day I hate the most to make it the best day on my platform. But at the end, it's not like I decided. It come natural. That's why people say, but what advice you can give to the creativity and all of that? I just say, be yourself. I'm authentic. I don't know what I'm going to say before I do a video. And, your followers, they understand when you start acting or where you're doing this just for another cause. And when you are yourself, you're going to please people. Sometimes you're going to please them. But just be yourself, because at the end, it's your life. That's why I was saying the example. Sometimes I don't do the video on Monday, and I've got people, I had a bad week because you didn't do your Monday video. But, you don't own me. I do it because it pleases me. And I think this is really important, because sometimes you have so much pressure, and people are every day in demand. They always want something new. So you need to be really creative. You need to travel, to go outside, talk with people, listen to music, watching movie, and your creativity will just come along.
I want to add to that because being authentic is super important. We talked about it in the masterclass earlier and with Keith. And what I've learned in my content, same as Patrice, is people see through the act and all that stuff. It's truly I want my audience to feel like they're actually talking to me, like I'm a friend. So the biggest feedback I've gotten on comments or in person is I want to be your friend. How can I hang out with you? And to me, that's the most rewarding type of content, because it's I don't act. I've tried it. I'm awful at it. It's embarrassing. I'm cringy. So I don't ever do that. I want people to thoroughly like resonate with what I'm saying to them and feel like they're almost like sitting, having a cocktail with me or having a coffee, whatever they prefer. And that's when I see the most success with my audience.
No, but I just want to go back to that, and I think you spot on because it's all about the connection. And I don't know if you have the same feeling. Even before I put the video, I'm already feeling the people, the feedback. So I don't care if the video will be good or bad. That's the energy I feel, you know, when I'm doing those kind of video. And I agree with you. When you connected with your audience, you know, it's not every time you can answer to all the comment, but I do it. I take my time. I don't want to be just the one because you call celebrity and some of my team just, you know, deal with my social media. You need to be connected to them. This is really important. And if you're not connected to them, they will get rid of you.
And there's nothing more powerful than
We're going to have just me and you a conversation. You can leave, guys. Thanks for coming.
there's nothing more powerful than being able to say after you make a video, oh, they're gonna love this. Like that, you know them so well that if you know they're gonna love it, then you're connected.
But you guys are bringing me to a very nice point because obviously what you two are doing in terms of creating that personal connection is one avenue of creating content. But then you get Josh or even KK Travels. And Josh, I wish I could show some of your videos here on the screen, but please do try and seek it out, everyone's content afterwards, because Josh, you don't say a word often. I don't know anything about you. You're such a mystery. How is that? How did you develop that technique, and how important is it for you to create that distance between Josh, the person you are, and Josh, the creator?
Yeah, I take basically the complete opposite approach of these two. Not to say that one method is better than the other. I think both are excellent. For me, I just like to have a bit of distance between the real me and the social media me, who's a version of the real me, but just a little bit more heightened, a little bit more exaggerated. And that's for my own mental health. So the videos that I create are really just supposed to entertain and inspire, and I consider myself as playing this character a little bit, who's just extra joyful and extra curious about everything that's going on. And I have a couple little things, like I talked about this in the masterclass. I have very particular clothes that I wear in all the videos, like my costume that I can put on. It's very subtle. It looks just kind of like this, but those are my outfits for filming. And then I can put those on, be in the character, take them off, and go back to being myself. And to me, that's healthy. And I also enjoy not speaking in the videos. I'm always really inspired by magicians, close-up magicians, who don't necessarily speak, and they do their tricks, and it creates this universal language of performance that can be enjoyed by anyone in the world. And to me, that's just such a cool challenge to give myself. Like, can I create an emotional message that anyone, no matter how old you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what language you speak, you can enjoy it, get something out of it, and connect to it. And that's how I approach content.
And for you guys at KK, you were telling me yesterday that at the beginning you almost removed yourself entirely from the equation. Can you speak a little bit more about that transition, about being part of what you post?
Yep, so I think to begin with, you think social media, it's got to be about you, the person is the brand. And for us, we thought, well, that's what we have to do. That's the formula to be in social media. But then as time developed, we wanted to, as you say, as kind of Josh has mentioned, have that kind of divide between what the public see and what we have as our sort of personal sort of relationship. And we then sort of pulled ourselves back from the camera. And for us, our content is very much sort of a magazine edit or it's promotional activity. So we're wanting to make sure that product or service is getting all the attention and we're more a prop in the background. And for us, as we mentioned kind of earlier about longevity, for us, that's how we feel like we can have a sort of a longer career in what we do, because it's not us growing old or getting maybe what sort of the audience not looking for in a person. We can grow old with our content showcasing for us.
And you were just speaking about the personal there, and this is a conversation that I think is really important as well, because depending on how much you're putting out of yourself out in the world, these barriers between the personal and the professional can be really easy to blur in a certain sense. And Jake and Shawnee, you have a love story for the TikTok age on how you met, and you explore your relationship in your content creation. So how is that dynamic of deciding when to collaborate, when to do your own things, the conversations that are happening between how much you share, how much you keep it to yourselves?
I think really our relationship is pretty crazy. Obviously, we met through social media and stuff, and it's weird. We spend like 24 hours of every single day together, and we don't argue or anything. We have a very good balance between our work life and our personal life, I think it's definitely something you should keep into consideration when you're a content creator.
And how are some of the conversations that you have in these lines of course, you're together personally, but when you're about to collaborate on a video, how do these conversations go on the things that you want to work together? Does it happen organically? Do you have a strategy?
Yeah, I wish I had like a really, really cool story about this, but it just happens so organically. It's like, yo, Shawnee, do you want to do you want to just be in this video? Yeah, of course. And then we just film. And yeah, that is literally it. I mean, sometimes we do have brainstorms together. You know, we sit down in the evenings and we think, all right, what are we going to do this week to kind of be as productive as possible? But most of the time, it's just kind of whatever goes.
And Patrice touched upon something interesting earlier, which is the expectations that start happening on social media depending on what you post. And especially with loving relationships, with family, do you ever feel expectations of the people who are following your content and perhaps wanting to know more about a relationship than you're willing to share? Is this something that you navigate?
I don't ever feel the pressure. You know, like I think really I see social media as a very like one-sided thing. It's my job. I make videos, and that's kind of it. I don't really let the personal side get to me, you know, with anything. And I think it's a really kind of good way to be when you're approaching social media. But at the same time, we do have a responsibility within, you know, ourselves and our personal brand to keep everything as it should be. You know, like we're very child-friendly. You know, we don't swear in our content and stuff like that. And we share like appropriate things.
And I think for you at KK Travels with Christo and Luis, there's also this conversation around your relationship because you're traveling together, you're creating content together, and you were telling me a little bit more about how you divide and how you split the things that you do. And once again, you're a couple that is doing both the personal and the professional, so you're spending so much time together. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, we've been together for over a decade now, so we know how each other works really well, and we know each other's strengths and what might stress the other one out. So we know how to divide our work really, really well. And at the end of the evening, we know when enough is enough and when it's our time, and to try to stop working. But that's easier said than done, obviously, because sometimes there's blurred lines of when does the work finish? But yes, we're a good team. So I rely really strongly on my team member, and I'm lucky that we work together and everything goes so smoothly. Yeah.
And Josh touched upon something earlier that was also interesting, which is the subject of mental health and the subject of knowing when to take breaks, which is something that you, Patrice, were just speaking about it as well, because social media has become such a massive part of our lives, even for those who don't work with it, and we find ourselves constantly on our phone, or even when you're creating something for social media, you almost feel, you were speaking about this guilt of perhaps getting people to be back on their phones to see what you're doing. So how do you navigate that, the separation and the time that you spend on your phone? If you want to start, Patrice, that should be good.
No, to be honest, I don't spend time on my phone. I'm here to deliver. I post, and like I said, because sometimes I want to connect with the follower, the audience, then I will answer some message. But no, I've got a life too, and I think I really envy them to traveling as a couple because I've got 4 kids, and sometimes for my wife, it's not easy for me traveling all around the world because I like to do different content in different country. But I think this is amazing what they're doing. I think my wife, if I stay more than 5 days with her, she will kick me out. So it's probably good we're not doing the same job. But, also that's why early when I was talking, it's 2 years I didn't take any holiday. Even for me, every day of my life, I feel like being in holiday. But sometimes you need to recharge. That's why when I say, of course, I'm connected with the fan, but also I know to switch off because this is my life. And when we talked earlier, if I'm not happy, or you want me to make other people happy. So it's really important also for the health. I think sometimes you spend too much time on social media, but personally, I don't have this problem because I post, I already connect with the audience, and I'm doing something different.
I need to be a bit more like you in that sense. I'll go to you, Josh, now.
Yeah, I think that was extremely well said, and I think that, of course, there's a bit of a duality between no one wants to spend more time on social media, and yet when you're creating content that is, highly engaging and almost addictive, And are you contributing to that problem? I sometimes struggle with that myself, but the way I square it in my head is that if you're creating content that uplifts or inspires or contributes in a positive way, then you're doing something great. You know, I've met so many young kids, 8 years old, 10 years old. I just met Edward, if you're here, I just met you like just outside, who's playing drums, and that's so cool to me that my videos could touch someone across the world and inspire them musically or creatively. And that's really the power of social media. There's so much negative about social media, and all of us have to deal with that, and the whole world has to deal with that. But there are also a lot of positives and a lot of potential still, despite the downfalls that already exist, for it to be,
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you very briefly. Just to say, guys, we are in a room where the sound travels quite a lot. So when you're talking, we can all kind of hear. So if you can just keep it just a bit quiet so we can hear each other a bit better, that would be really appreciated. Please go on, Josh. Thank you, Patrice. You've done it much more promptly and efficiently. You can go on, Josh.
Yeah, I think basically there's a lot of value still in creating content that's positive.
And obviously, this is a really interesting point in terms of inspiration. And you guys were just speaking about creating content for children. And I think this is a massive conversation happening right now. I was looking at your Minecraft videos, and those things can be fairly addictive, even for me, an adult. So how do you navigate this understanding of doing things for younger people, perhaps, and do you feel a sense of responsibility? How do you do that?
I think being responsible is just like I think it comes quite naturally. Like obviously there are certain, morals. There are certain things you don't follow. There are certain things you wouldn't do on a video because, I mean, first of all, you have your like analytics that show you kind of what your audience demographic is. But then also when you create a video, you kind of have a rough idea of who you're creating a video for. So as long as you're kind of sticking to your own moral guidelines, you're kind of going to be able to keep within them boundaries that your audience wants to see.
Is it the same for you, Shawnee? Do you feel like your content is also, because you do a lot of unboxing and you're dealing with toys, and this must be interesting as well?
Yeah, exactly same as Jake. I don't know what else to add to that.
No, this is good. And then we were talking a little bit more about, obviously, some of you guys work with social media and with platforms, but also with what is considered traditional platforms in the sense of coming from a journalism background, coming from a television background. And these days, how do you feel this transition went for you, for example, Louis, from coming from television into social media?
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of did them hand in hand. I obviously went to school for television and media, graduated, started working at Paramount and Paramount Plus, and that's when my platform took off. And I started to realize how my job at Paramount and the work that I was doing on carpets, on podcasts, on press junkets, and getting to interview the cast of TV shows, movies, and even musicians at time would translate over to my social media career because I was posting the clips to get people to see, oh my God, I'm interviewing the cast of iCarly and the cast of Transformers and all that stuff. So it's actually funny how even though it translated to social, I've now left my job in traditional media to pursue my own stuff because, I am able to do it without the traditional corporate background because I've built that in there. And I think with social media, the transition into it full time has been a little bit, I don't want to say tough, I want to say it's interesting. I think there's a lot of room to play in comparison where we were talking about blurring the lines. I've blurred it so much because with my corporate job, my day would end. It would be 9 to 5, I would leave unless I had something to do after, and now I don't have that. I am my boss. So there are days where, I know Josh had said this earlier on his masterclass, where our weekends are not our weekends because sometimes our Monday and Tuesday could be our weekend, or some days I'm creating content, some days I'm not. So I think coming from traditional media and having these definitive deadlines of you need to post this interview by this day, having that completely wiped away has made me feel a lot better, to be completely honest. But sometimes there are moments where I have to take a step back and be okay, you need to work. You need to do your job so you can pay your bills.
And this is the same for you guys at KK because, Christo, you were a journalist and you still use a lot of your journalistic skills when you're writing for Instagram. You still have a traditional blog. And then there's photography as well. These elements that are considered very traditional in the sense with traditional. So how do you do this coupling and this transitional work between the mediums?
I feel quite lucky that I started as a journalist because it taught me a lot of skills I've been able to transfer across the various platforms as well. And it's something I'm really passionate about is writing. And I don't think that I'll ever go away. So whenever we work with a brand, it means that we're able to provide a variety of content, not just photography. And Lewis is a pro at the drone and everything. So a lot of brands like to work with us, for that side of things. But at the same time, they really enjoy working with us because they know they'll get a factual, well-written article at the end of the day as well, and that'll last forever. That's something that can be seen on Google, and it's something that they can use for other brands and whatnot. So I think we're quite lucky that we've got both platforms.
I think to add to the coming from the traditional and the skills, I think what I learned, especially with like pop culture and celebrities, is a lot of people, like the panel is called Cracking the Code on How to Go Viral. So a lot of the time people, sometimes my peers, will use the skills we got to interview cast members or celebrities, but to get that viral moment. And I feel like something that I did when I transitioned out was I didn't want to do that. I think humanizing people more is so important, especially when you come from a journalism background, because they're humans just like us. They might have more eyes on them or they're doing more than we are, but sometimes it's like better to humanize them with the skills we have. And I think that's where I found success, was I'm just looking at them as a peer, not someone I'm trying to get a viral moment out of.
And this touches upon what you were saying earlier as well, Patrice, and this idea of authenticity and this idea of keeping faithful to what you're doing and thinking not necessarily on the outcome, but on the process of what you're creating.
I think when we say like cracking the code or to go viral, my honest answer, it would say, I don't know. I'm doing something where I'm happy with and where I feel connected with my audience. We were talking about don't force it. Be like, I'm repeating myself, but just be yourself. And going viral is nice when you go to the right way. But when you go to the wrong way, that's why I joined Josh, for the mental health, people, I heard like some people, they stop social media because they were going in depression. So it's something really serious. But how powerful it is, as a defender of ending the violence against children, for me to be able to spread the message all around the world, like I say, it's just amazing. Sometimes when I do some video and I see that comment, and Patrice, well, my dad just passed away, but watching one of your videos make me smile. This is more important than winning the Champions League or the Premier League or any trophy I want. So use it the right way. But also, I come back to also what you say is we can't say to that person, do this, do that. No, you feel the human side, and we're going to encourage him to be himself. Sometimes he will work, sometimes he won't. But if he believes in it, if he thinks he can make an impact to the world, just go for it and don't ever give up.
I also think to that point, because there's probably a lot of people in here who want to make content. I think what I learned from working in corporate is a lot of them didn't understand the platforms as much as we all might. And yeah, a viral video is so great to have, but at the same time, you're not going to get a viral video every time. So if you're looking at like, oh, this video didn't get 1 million views, I'm not successful, I'm a failure. That's not true, because you have to have the baby steps to get to where we are now in order to continue to have those viral moments, because the platforms change. Viral moments are few and far between now because the platforms are so selective with us. So I think if you look at like a video, say it gets 2,000 views and you're like, that's not viral, it's not good enough. 2,000 people in a room is kind of an insane amount of people to talk to. And I think if you look at it almost like exclusive content, that 2,000 people have an exclusive video that they got to see of you, it just reframes your mindset, and also your mental health will be so much better because you're not looking at yourself failing because you don't have an M next to one of the numbers on your video.
I really love that you guys are speaking about this idea of mental health, because not only is there a pressure on yourself and the side of what you're doing and what you're creating, but also there's this understanding of social media that the grass is always greener, and then people are always living better lives and doing things that are more interesting and getting to do more. And even from speaking to you guys briefly, we know that this is not the truth, and this perception can be quite harmful to people who perhaps don't have this understanding as much as they should have, in a sense. And I'm wondering for you guys how important it is to be able to perhaps dismantle this idea that social media is a glamorous job and that everything is great. And I'm gonna go to you guys. Go, Jake.
So yeah, one of my main goals when I first started social media was to get 100,000 subscribers, and then I got it. That was cool. Then my next goal was to get to 1 million subscribers. I got it. It was all right. And then my goal was 10 million subscribers, and I got it. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool, you know, it's cool. But now what I've realized throughout my whole journey is actually the coolest thing was the journey itself. And, you know, making this content that I enjoyed and that I was very proud of was the most rewarding thing to me in general. And yeah, I think you know, there are unrealistic expectations on social media, but when you're doing something that you're happy with, then it's all that you could want.
And going to you, Crystal and Lewis, I think in your case, just to let you guys know a bit more, they do luxury travel. So they go to these beautiful hotels and eat in beautiful restaurants and drive beautiful cars. And obviously, I think in your case, more than anything, it is about the visuals and the things that you're getting to do. But people don't see the work that goes on behind it. We were speaking about yesterday. Sometimes you don't get to fully appreciate these moments because you're always thinking of work. So how is it for you guys in the world of luxury travel?
Yes, kind of exactly as you said. Really, it sounds very glamorous, and yes, it does have its ups. We do get to stay in sort of very nice sort of hotels and eat in nice restaurants and so on. But equally, there's a lot that goes into it rather than just taking your phone out and taking a few pictures. We take sort of high-end camera equipment. We have drones. In some countries, you actually need to apply for a license to the government, and that can take weeks and months to get that negotiation. And then hotels, you have to go through contract negotiations and deciding on content, what their deadlines are, and then that's from a pre-side, then you got to take the content, and then after, when you get home, you then got to do editing and the software. So it's not just a quick thing. These can take long periods of time. And for that, as you say, it kind of then adds on, well, when does work finish? You know, we will come off a flight, come home, but now it's straight into editing, and then, okay, well, now we need to decide what we're doing next, and then start working on those next. So it's trying to understand and kind of make sure we have that time to sort of set aside as well. But it's not just glamorous, quick. It is a lot longer process than it may look like.
I think like when you're doing social media, it's quite hard because you are your own boss. So any day of the week, I could get up, I could make a coffee, and I could play video games all day if I wanted to. So you really have to force yourself to kind of do the work. And yeah.
I think leads me nicely to the idea of preparation versus reaction. We started to touch upon this a bit earlier, but I wonder if you guys can talk a little bit more about the level of preparation that things can take. I think for you, Josh, and you guys at KK, this is a particularly relevant topic. But even in your case, Lewis, of the research that goes into creating a pop culture recap, or even sometimes for you, I was just watching you, Patrice, with a panda costume or preparing things. Where do you get there? When does it happen? So I'll start with Josh and I'll touch upon you guys.
So my videos, if you guys have seen them, I make them look very effortless and like I just sat down and did it and it was a nice time and that's it. But behind every video is days and days of preparation, of choreography, figuring out how I'm gonna do the different moves and musical aspects that I'm gonna employ for the video. Each video I'm doing 50, 60, sometimes 70 takes or even more. I should work on that, but I like each video to be really good and something that I'm really proud of. And I approach social media like a portfolio. Like, here's my work. This is what I'm capable of. Check it out. I hope you like it. I hope it entertains you. But I just like to hold myself to a high standard and do it like that. Yeah.
And you, Patrice, you wanted to add to it?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, like I say, every of my content and video, I love to send a message, a positive message. And in this world, I think people are too sensitive. And even when it's something really sensitive, I will make fun of it. You were talking about the panda, and it's against the racism and the bully. I've been approached by the FIFA, UEFA to doing a campaign, but I think the people are too serious just saying no to racism. So why I picked the panda, first of all, because I'm crazy and I love panda. But I do my video dance and take off the head and saying, I'm black, I'm white, I'm chubby, say no to racism, say no to bully. But this, you connect with the kids, because at the end, they will look at it, they will laugh, and you always get the moment, you know, to send the right message. But like I say, I'll be honest, the work they're doing is just amazing, because sometimes people think it's just about doing the video, but the edit, all of that, having the permission for the government, is a lot of work. Like I said, nothing comes easy.
And even what you were just saying there about this idea of the panda, it might look sometimes like a 30-second video, but there's an entire conversation about a campaign against racism, about how you're tackling, about what you're doing, which is a thought process that takes time as well.
I think, communication is key. I'm quite getting old. This is a new generation. Or you communicate with them. I think this is really important. Sometimes I know some of my friends, they don't understand some of the video people do, but I'm like, guys, this is not our time. The tray is going. Or you jump on it or not. I was against the social media. Sir Alex Ferguson was saying if someone is on social media, he won't play. And now he's the one calling me and asking my video for sending to his friend. So the world is changing. You need to adapt. But of course, in a positive way, because it's also a lot of people can use that platform and hurt people or showing a lifestyle and actually it's not their lifestyle, going to expensive restaurant. I don't criticize them. They do it. If they love it, it's fine. But me, I'm using it just in a different way.
And this is interesting, and it brings me to you, Sean and Jake, because you were just talking about something that you might not understand. And I was watching some of your videos, and I had to Google, what is Minecraft? Or what are some of the toys that are opening up? I felt so old. You guys cannot notice how old I am because this slide is very flattering. But how do you deal with getting to a certain niche and the preparation that it takes to perhaps get on the newest toy or get the newest tools to create?
I think I'm actually like a massive kid at heart. I look like a man, but I still enjoy it all. I still love Minecraft, still love all these things. And I think that's the thing, when you start social media and you're making videos you're passionate about, it just helps kind of streamline the whole process. And yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a big kid at heart. I love keeping up to date with all the trends. What about you? She's the same. She's shy.
No, Sean, we were speaking yesterday about the difference of speaking to a crowd and having a camera on your face. And I think TikTok is much more terrifying than being here. So I think this is also interesting, the person that you are behind the camera and the person that you are in the real life. Is this something you talk about to others? Is this a conversation that you have?
No, I think just being behind a screen is completely different than being in front of people. It's hard to explain.
So we were actually speaking about this just before the panel, and it's so weird. Like all of us are, influencers. We create videos all the time. You'd think we're really sociable, but I mean, speaking for myself at least, I'm actually pretty antisocial. I like being in the house. I like creating videos. I like seeing the results and stuff. But when it comes to speaking in front of people, it's just so different. It's so hard to explain.
And do you want to add something, Josh?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I love it. It's really fun to meet people in the real world, like the follower numbers, the view numbers. A lot of times you can just get tangled up in it, like what even is this? These are just numbers on a screen, like what is happening? But it's real people. Like the videos that you make an actual impact on people that are real, and that's very powerful, both in the positive and the negative. So there's a responsibility tied to that. And I think events like this, festivals like this are really important because you get to remind yourself of that human connection that exists with these videos.
Definitely, there are people behind the screen, and I think this is such an important thing to be reminded of. And the things that you started, you're passionate about, you all started this from a very positive place. And I think also, we were talking earlier, you just said about followers or numbers, and I think an interesting conversation as well is in terms of platforms, because I know across this panel here we have people working on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on blogs, and I'm just wondering for you, how was that understanding of the platform that worked best for you? And I think since Josh, we're speaking about YouTube being king still, and the idea of TikTok not being king just yet in your case.
Yeah, YouTube is great. They pay creators really well. That's the best. Like my opinion is that the platform that pays its creators the best will be the best because creators will want to create better content for that platform, and thus everyone has a better time. Creators are making more money, they make better content, the viewer experience, audience experience is better, everything improves, and YouTube just does a great job with that. It's also been around a lot longer, it's very sophisticated. I think TikTok does an amazing job with discovery, of showing you new things, showing you people that you haven't seen before. And there's so many incredible artists doing amazing things on that platform. It's just unbelievable. And Instagram really succeeds in being a social app. Like Instagram is what you use to DM somebody or to share a funny meme with your sibling or your mom or a gift idea like for your dad, something like that. A lot of that happens on Instagram. So a lot of these platforms, they have different uses, and understanding the way they function is really important for any content creator, because you don't want to just say, oh, I'm just do YouTube. You know, anything could happen with any platform, and so it's good to spread yourself out across them and learn about all of them as much as you can.
But
And I think-
sorry, that show you how new I am, because I start with Instagram by accident. I didn't know, the platform. And you're right, because now my team also are pushing me on my YouTube. And on YouTube, I will show more the documentary. You know, when I had a speech at the UN, it's more about my social impact, ending the violence against children. But I don't know yet how to use the other platform. Of course, I've got TikTok, Snapchat, but it takes time. But me, it's just I feel connected straight away with Instagram. But you're right, you can do so many different things. They can bring so many different options. I think every platform, you can send a completely different message.
And in your case, Instagram has also the fact that it's incredibly popular globally in terms of even scrolling through your content. The Indians and the people from like Saudi or Middle East, they're still very heavily on Instagram. It's really interesting.
But I mean, like Josh said, also I think YouTube, you need to spend time. You need to spend a lot of time in your life. And because I'm traveling so much, that's why I'm doing those 1 minute and traveling, showing like different culture, different country. But yeah, now you say they pay well, so I think I'm gonna get to you.
We'll talk.
We're gonna talk later.
And before I get to you, Jake, on YouTube, I want to go to you, Louis, because we were talking about TikTok, because I am terrified of TikTok because it just keeps going. It never stops. If I open a cat video on TikTok, you will never see me again. But at the same time, it brings you this opportunity of being able to create things that other people might be creating and tap into this momentum in ways that are very interesting. So how has TikTok worked for you personally?
How does it work for me personally? Yeah, so I also think it serves as a portfolio for me, because my goal is to continue doing hosting and carpet stuff like that. So it showcases my work, but at the same time, I think on the topic of mental health and also not feeling guilty of having people scroll on my videos all the time, I think something me and my partner did really well was we developed a format that was a game. So it's Guess the Celebrity, where we literally will take obscure, whether it's their hand, their foot, or their forehead, and be like, guess the celebrity. And I have my boyfriend, who's not really well versed in pop culture, guess what celebrity is. And the amount of people, I think one of our first ones got like 10 million views in a couple days. And the support for the video was, I love this game, I love playing it with you guys. They tagged their friends, and I think there's, I can't take the credit, but my boyfriend put it well. There's performative and there's organic content. And I feel like that's a very high-performing piece of organic content for us, where we're making it because it genuinely is fun for us to play, and we're seeing that it's so fun for other people to play that we're not going to stop it. But then there's performative content where I feel like, okay, I know my pop culture recaps will work because people like them, they want to stay in the know, so I will make that for them. But sometimes news isn't always necessarily fun for me. So it's really having that line between, okay, I'm making this in order to be successful in my career. I'm making this in order to have fun in my career while having fun with everybody who's watching me. Because again, like Josh said, they're not just a number. They're real people who maybe are escaping their everyday lives and just want to play this game with me. So if I don't play it, they're like, where is it? And then I bring it back and I play it again.
And Jake, you were saying something really interesting yesterday, that you have more than one YouTube channel, and you're looking at YouTube and longer content in a different way. If you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't know how many people here are like wanting to be content creators, but my advice would be to start with short content. Short content is like amazing to grow your audience. You can get millions and millions of followers by doing short content.
Can
It's
you
cheap.
tell about like a little bit of short content in terms of TikTok, or not only on YouTube, just for TikTok?
Yeah. So yeah, like obviously, you share your long content on them platforms. It's cheap, easy, quick. And then when you're established, move on to longer content, because like mentioned earlier, it pays so much better. And when you've got a bit of strategy behind you as well, like you can make long videos go viral whenever you want. Whereas short videos are kind of a shot in the dark sometimes.
And for you at KK as well, the idea of even when you're doing longer writing pieces and having a blog and working with Instagram, how was finding the correct platform for you, even when you were speaking about your photography and the things that are better in that sense?
I think for us, as I say, sort of we're partners, obviously, as my wife as well. So she started as a journalist. So the writing content is obviously going to be a huge part of her life and it's her passion. So that's where the blog and sort of the website articles come in hand. But equally, for myself as a photographer and sort of a drone pilot, Instagram, I can do sort of photography and videography. So it's about finding, as we're talking about cracking the code, I think you've got kind of 6 sort of brands here essentially from social media, and we're all on different platforms. We're all come from different backgrounds. We've all got different strategies how we want to get to where we want to be. I think that's the beauty. There isn't just one sort of silver bullet that's going to make you sort of world famous and whatever you want to do. There's many avenues from different backgrounds. I think that's the beauty of social media, to be fair. And I just think that's something you, as long as you find something you have a passion about, I think that's key for us. We started on travel. We have a real big passion for travel. Before we had social media, we were traveling the world, and we decided, well, let's actually put it on social media, and it does well, and we've now developed and adapted from there. And I think that's the beauty of social media. That you can be as wide varying or as niche as you want to be. I think, and that, as I say, I think that's the beauty of social media.
And as we're wrapping up, I think one thing that I'm interested in is how much of an eye do you keep on not necessarily competition, but other people creating within the same spaces that you are creating? How much of your time is dedicated and perhaps understanding what is happening within your own niche? I think I'm going to start with Lewis, just because pop culture is such a particular niche.
See, I think I might have a different view than everybody else does. So I don't think I've spoken about this, but pop culture, like I said, everybody's making the same kind of video. And yes, they're my peers, but I've actually muted a lot of them just because I don't want to take away my support. But at the same time, I feel like it can become really toxic to see the same thing over and over again, because it's not inspiration at that point, it's comparison. And I think comparison is the thief of all joy. Like if I'm looking at you're reporting on the same story as me in a different way, yours does better, I'm not gonna be motivated to keep going. So I think staying in my own lane has been really helpful, and also removing myself from one niche has been very helpful, because in pop culture, I'm not going to look for inspiration on news because I have the background, I've done it. But when I'm going to food or travel, I am looking at peers who do it, who I know do it well, because that's something I eventually want to continue to do. So it's more helpful when it's things I'm passionate, like I'm passionate about pop culture, but things I find more fun and more of a new avenue for me. So I don't like to compare because it stresses me out. I feel like it stresses everybody out when we look at other people's numbers. So I don't think you need to do it to succeed.
I think just to show just the other side of that as well, as much as I do agree there is that sort of competitive and can sometimes make you sort of down if something else is doing the same thing as you, but they're doing better. But I also think we actually follow a lot of our rivals and competitors from a pure perspective of it's interesting to see how they decide to take content of something very similar to what we're doing. And sometimes, as you say, they're doing it better. When that goes, oh, wait a minute, that's interesting. How can we improve ourselves to make sure we're reaching our next goal? So I think for us, we actually find it great seeing what I would say, in quotation marks, our rivals are doing, because as I say, it can make ourselves better.
And for you, Josh, you do something that's so specific. Are you ever looking at anyone else?
Yeah, that's another solution. It's just to do something that's so weird and unique that no one else can even do it. So yeah, no competition.
And for you guys, before we finish, are you looking at anyone else?
Yeah, so actually, I kind of agree. Like, I think actually looking at people within your niche is one of the most important things, and it's just a fast track to success on social media. No matter what niche you're in, if you could find 10 people that you like or that you want to be like, and find out from them what videos are successful, what aren't successful, and you can learn from that. And actually, that's a piece of advice I'd give any kind of starting content creators, is really take inspiration, because it's a database. It's a database, and people need to realize that.
This has been so incredible. Before I let you guys clap, I just need to tell you something. Oh, do you need to say something, Patrice?
I was going to add one other thing.
Just want to talk.
Please do.
Just that, like I used the word competition earlier, and I don't know if that's such a great word, just because the content is so saturated. There's so many creators, there's so many YouTube channels. Almost every day you can stumble across a new YouTube channel or a new TikTok channel that has 10 million followers and you've never even heard of it. Like there's just so much content being made all the time. that can be discouraging if you look at it in the negative sense, but I think it can also be very encouraging that there's room for everyone. If you want to make content, if you have an idea, you should just go for it. And don't think of it as competition, just think of it as like community, as your peers. I've learned so much from the friends I've made through the videos that I've posted, and I think that's a better way to think about it. Like, oh, these people, maybe they also do something related to music, but they're not my rivals. In fact, oftentimes they become my friends, and then you can collaborate. I think that's like a healthier way to approach it.
That is such a lovely note to end up in. Just saturation,
That's
no
why you wanted to
competition.
talk.
But you guys just, thank you. I'll let you clap more. But just one thing, we are going to have a meet and greet session, but I'm going to explain you how it works. So just listening out a little minute. Our wonderful panelists are going to stay here, and the festival team, I think, is going to go row by row and let you guys come and take brief pictures. I just want you to please respect everyone's boundaries. I think it is really, really incredible of them to give them the time and space. So please wait for the festival team to come to your row. And now we can say, thank you so much, everyone. Final clap. Thank you.
Hi. Mela, ħanibdaw nqumu row ta' ovvjament bi respectful ma li tlestu let's make it quick għax irdu nkomplu u ibqgħu ħirġin il-barra mill-ewwel ta' jekk jogħġobkom.